Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, amazingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. And more amazingly enough, this month through August, we are sponsored by Roll-A-Crit. Yes, the makers of the newly redesigned Bag of Holding, which we are going to delve into in a lot more depth next week. Yes, we'll talk about Roll-A-Crit in just a few moments, but welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. This is live show 1083. If you're not overly familiar with this show, let me point out, super casual. We just hang around talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I will usually pontificate about a topic related to our hobby, which is what I'll be doing tonight. I'm going to discuss two relatively new controversies that are brewing around Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast. And to be honest, I think you're going to be kind of surprised at my take on these. Maybe. You never know. In the end, you'll be like, I knew Jeff was going to say that. I know Jeff so well. I've read your book. See if anybody catches what that reference is to. Anyway, so it's just hanging out, having fun. We are certainly not engaged in any sort of rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Just hanging out, having a good time. Of course, when you're now watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live show, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Plus, you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least, what are we at now? I think 10 minutes in order to take part in chat. Also cuts down on some of the more unusual commenters. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight, good friend of the show, the Madman, as well as Semper Buffo, Jose Fernandez, Keithulu, Cracks the Bold, Tony Urquides, James Eck, Matthew Constantine is joining us live for a change. Good to see you, Matthew. Kathy Evans, Melwinius from York. Russell Higgins is also in the house. So we've got a nice chat rocking and rolling already. Sweet. Don't forget, tonight I will reveal the winner of the One Ring Moria through the Doors of Durin hardcover. As you can see in nice shrink wrap. It was funny. I mentioned I was going to name the winner yesterday, and then I didn't. And it was a good thing because I had actually indicated that I would be announcing the winner on tonight's show, not yesterday's show. So maybe it was just a little serendipity. I don't know. Could be. Jody Connor is popping on in, as well as our good friend Kevin R. Smith. Good to see everybody hanging in chat. So let's talk about this month's sponsor because it is Roll-A-Crit. That's right. The home of the newly redesigned Bag of Holding. As I already mentioned, we're going to dive on into that at some length next week. We're going to take a deeper dive into it. I will say that I have kind of filled it up coming back from Gen Con, and it was performing its duties rather well. I think my shoulder was giving out before the bag did. Summer bag would, I guess I'll say. But there is also the upcoming Kickstarter for Heroes of Arcadia, Heroes for Hire. That's right, heroes from across the lands gather in Barcadia for a grand drinking competition, as you may remember. But the festivities turn dire when the Grand Drink Guardians monsters steal all the drinks, as the Grand Drinks Guardians monsters tend to do. 8 valiant volunteers step up, only to be thwarted by the die of Barcane Chaos. The heroes face an unexpected setback and retreat to the tavern, where they explain everything to Brutus Pint Smasher, the event organizer. He sends off letters to distant lands for help, and his plea is answered by 4 valiant heroes, the Heroes for Hire. With rewards aplenty, should they succeed, they venture into the dungeon. Their trials surpass even those of the original heroes, but will they be triumphant? That's for you to decide. Outmaneuver your opponents to become the ultimate hero in this thrilling adventure coming soon to Kickstarter. Be sure to sign up to be notified of the Heroes for Hire launch for Heroes of Arcadia, because you will score exclusive power-ups if you happen to back the project. If you're curious about Heroes of Arcadia, I have reviewed it. I reviewed it about a year ago. And of course, we played it with adult beverages. Because that's the sort of guys we are. Oh, well, I should say we also had a couple of gals during that game too. So, sort of folks we are. That's right. We played it as the gods intended. And it's fun. It's got a cool sense of humor to it, especially if you enjoy adult beverages, because there are quite a few sort of liquor-related jokes in a lot of the cards and some puns and things like that. All right. So, like I said, be sure to sign up to be notified of the launch. You'll also probably have an opportunity to get the original Heroes of Arcadia as well. Sweet. Game Master's Hobby, as well as Kevin King, are swinging on in to chat. We've got a rockin' and rollin' chat tonight. In fact, yesterday, I was surprised because I thought, well, you know, I haven't done a show in a while. People have already forgotten about me. They've moved on to some other live streamer at 7 p.m. Central here on YouTube. At one point, we actually had 47 people all watching live at the same time. It might have been a record. I don't know for sure. Maybe not. Because, I mean, I've done some OSR topics that we've really pulled in a lot of people. But to be watching at the same time, not too shabby, not too bad. I think overall we had, 235 live viewers. But like I said, at the same time, we had 47. Although, to be honest, sometimes YouTube's numbers just seem kind of off. So, Cracks the Bolt says, I noticed you didn't get the Concoof, or as we refer to it, Concrud. Their buddy just got home and is sick as all get out. That happened to me once. And it like blew out my sinuses. It was just awful. Hated it. So, of course, with COVID floating around again, well, I mean, it's always lurking. Damn you, COVID. But I was kind of extra careful. I was washing my hands a lot, sanitizing my hands a lot. I did bring a mask with me, and I thought, no, because for one, I wore, one year we had to wear masks, and it was a real pain in the ass because it is kind of humid in the exhibit hall. And with that mask, it was not pleasant. I mean, I did it because, it helps protect you and others. But I was like, nah, I won't do the mask because it was fabric. I had a fabric mask. And I was like, oh, this thing's going to be like all sweaty and that. Nah, I'll just make sure to keep washing my hands and sanitizing my hands. So fingers crossed, I should be okay. I had a little sniffle yesterday morning, but then it went away. So, and that happens for me time to time, so it doesn't really affect anything. All right, so let's jump on into the news because I've got plenty of news tonight. And of course, we do want to get into our topic. My friends over at Cubicle 7 Games have teamed with Humble Bundle for an absolutely spectacular money-saving deal. I am not kidding about that. It is not hyperbole by any stretch of the imagination. I am talking about the deal that's going on for the Doctor Who, the role-playing game, and I've got the deets on that deal. Bring the Whoniverse to your table. I've never heard it referred to like that. I've heard it the Whoverse, not the Whoniverse. Whovians treat your gaming group to endless nights of adventure across time and space with his role-playing game bundle from Cubicle 7 Games. If you're partial to 5e, the Doctors and Daleks Player's Guide gives you everything you need to play in the world of Doctor Who with familiar rules and mechanics. Plus, with the Doctors and Daleks Alien Archive on hand, you'll be able to add the Doctor's most recognizable adversaries to your adventures. You'll also get the second edition core rulebook for Doctor Who, the role-playing game for bespoke Whovian adventures and a host of supplements, adventures, and more for both systems. And of course, your purchase does help the BBC Children in Need charity. You can jump aboard and score all 44 PDFs, as well as a 20% off print coupon for Cubicle 7 Games for a minimum donation of, get ready for it, $25. That's right, $25 for about $6 more than the PDF for the second edition of Doctor Who, the role-playing game over at Drive-Thru RPG. You can essentially get everything published for Doctor Who role-playing from Cubicle 7 Games. You heard that right. And I will say the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D, who might be lurking in the shadows, who happens to be one of our chat moderators, is a big fan of the Doctor Source books, which you get all 13. All 13 of the Doctor Source books, everything that's currently out for Doctor Who, the role-playing game, second edition, everything that's out there for Doctors and Daleks. There are even some items here from the original Doctor Who Adventures in Time and Space that have not been kind of revamped. That's in here too. It is blowing my mind what is in this. And it's even the newest stuff. So even the newest Doctor Who role-playing releases from Cubicle 7 Games that aren't even in print yet is part of this. So these savings run through August 17th. Don't miss out. Do not miss out. If you like Doctor Who, even if you want to kind of just get like the plot synopses of the various Doctor's adventures, those source books are great. The 60 Years of Adventure, parts 1 and 2, are part of this as well. Like I said, I am blown away by this. I sort of get the impression that it is possible. I don't know. I don't have any inside dope or anything like that. It is possible maybe Cubicle 7 Games might be moving away from the Doctor Who license. Possibly. I don't know. I will say that Elliot and I were having this discussion at Gen Con. Doctor Who seems to be in trouble. the series itself seems to be in a bit of trouble because I had heard that there are some rumors floating around that the BBC is considering canceling the show, which would suck. I mean, it really would suck. I haven't seen like the last 2 seasons. So, not that I don't have anything against anybody who's like in Doctor Who portraying the Doctor. It's just, I just kind of haven't had an opportunity to get back into it again after like halfway through the first season with Jodie Whittaker. Mm-hmm. Russell Higgins says, everyone knows what a Dalek is. So Russell's giving them the nod as the most well-known adversary because it was mentioned, isn't the Master the most dangerous adversary? He is my favorite. Well, I guess we could also say she at one point. My favorite of the Doctor's adversaries. Yes. And it's funny, if you ever see the episode where the Master is first introduced, he's just sort of a shyster. That's it. Boy, they sure grow that character into something a lot bigger. The Man says they read somewhere that they're planning to bring Matt Smith back as the 16th Doctor. Matthew Constantine says they stalled out during the Matt Smith years. I sort of did too. I watched a little of the Peter Capaldi. But I didn't watch all of it. But yes, I agree. I'm just, strangely enough, I'm just not a Stephen Moffat fan. Although I really liked Sherlock. Although, like the last series they did, which was the 3 stories or whatever, or like 1 story, I forget. I didn't think it was all that great, but yeah, it's sort of like, I don't know. But, it's a Doctor Who's not necessarily written for me. So there's that, right? All right, Dangar the Mighty and Chuck Terrell are joining us in chat. I think I've said hello to everybody so far tonight. Let's move on to our next news piece because Luka Rejek has a new role-playing game up on Backer Kit. I've got the skinny on Our Golden Age. The vast lands at the edge of space are strange and full of terror, but there is a place of warmth and safety, a place to be human forever and ever. Do not worry about the wastes of the ultraviolet grasslands. Do not fret about the disasters of the infrared desert. Forget the fast stars gibbering in their electro-magical songs. Lay aside your fears of the twitching dances of living machines. All is well in the utopia of the Rainbow Lands by the Circle C. Stay a while and rest. Embrace the synthetic dream. The gold box for Our Golden Age includes Our Golden Age and the Mother Machine, the main book. The heartwood of this campaign, sized to match the UVG second edition on your bookshelf, illustrated by the author. It's an A4 hardcover, 250 pages. It'll also be sold separately. You can also get the Circle C travel map, which was an unlocked stretch goal to this point. A folded road atlas map of the Circle C region inserted into the book. Perfect for the leisure tripper. The Vastlands Guidebook, which is the rule book, campaign exclusive A4 hardcover, 144-page version, which is also going to have a free digital A5 version available. The box also includes the Circle C Grand Map, a 2-sided map, a classical postmodern map on one side, Fantascience illustrated map on the other. There is the Yellow Nemesis dice set, an heirloom polyhedral set from long ago, before the fall of the Cathedral Order. Also, it included extra D6 for morale. These will also be sold separately if you'd like. There's a tour guide screen, a referee screen for the game master, lovingly illustrated by the author with help from tiny space rats with human hands. That's their words, not mine. Designed to help you improvise, pirouette, strategize, and amaze your players, or just hide your dice. There's the Vastlands reference cards, an unlocked stretch goal, handy dandy cards to keep track of the loose, crumbly rules and locations. Circle C postcards also unlocked. Show your homebody friends how cool you are because of the places you've visited. They might also include adventure hooks. There's also the Nemesis and Ministry cards. Know your enemies, generate your friends. Might actually even include a bonus game. Oh, well. Jason Bradley had popped on in. Good to see you, as has Wallona's Cave. So the crowdfunding project for Our Golden Age is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of this gold box I'm just talking about for a $95 pledge through August 30th. Expected delivery is next August. Do want to point out, Tessie Trekkie was kind enough to provide me with the funds to back this. So when this comes out, we will be taking a look at it. I will be reviewing it. I am also considering reaching out to Luka Rejek to possibly review Ultraviolet Grasslands 2nd edition. Because I have never actually taken a peek at that. Funny enough, I bought the 1st edition, and then like a week or two after it arrived, the Kickstarter launched for the 2nd edition. I'm like, oh, okay. I got it on like a Black Friday deal, so I'm not complaining, but it was sort of like, what would be the point? Right? What would be the point? So Tessie Trekkie says, cheers, Jeff. Yes. Thank you very kindly, Tessie Trekkie. I'm also considering reaching out to Ben Milton to maybe see if I can snag a review copy of Knave 2nd edition, because I'd be very curious to check that out. Stephen from Roll for Combat is joining us as well. Good to see you, Stephen. Let's move on to our next news piece, which was slated for last night. And then, I don't know, somehow these images were gobbled up by gremlins or something. Following a short delay, the print edition of Musketeers versus Cthulhu will be arriving this month. Oh, my goodness. There's the image in all its glory of the cover. Shocking. Didn't think I'd ever see that again. So this is from Nightfall Games. I've got the latest. All for one and one for all. Musketeers versus Cthulhu is the story of the 3 Musketeers with an eldritch twist. When Colonel de Treville seeks your help in rescuing an academic's daughter who knew it would reveal a conspiracy with a dagger poised to stab the heart of France, you play the Musketeers as you face the forces of the mythos in a race against time to prevent the Cardinal from aiding Nyarlathotep in seizing control of the kingdom. Damn you, Nyarlathotep! Always just sticking your dark, grimy hands into the workings of mankind. Musketeers versus Cthulhu is a 112-page A5 size hardback book. It includes a full Musketeer versus Cthulhu campaign and everything needed to play Musketeers in any Call of Cthulhu setting. Join the ranks of the Musketeers as they face off against eldritch plots and courtly intrigues. The time has come for daring deeds against impossible foes. The 112-page hardcover lands August 16th, carries an MSRP of $32. You can grab the PDF right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $14. And this is based on a short story, or it's a novella, I think, which was, I should say, co-written by an actress who had been on Babylon 5. I actually recognized her. And I think she tossed in some stuff for this role-playing game, too. It's kind of wild. Kind of wild. Very nice. Very nice. I would like to take a peek at this. I think it would be kind of interesting. On to our next news piece. The third issue of Scoundrels of Brixton, this one entitled Phantoms of Unov, is now up on Kickstarter for RPG Ramblings. And here's what I know about the project. Scoundrels of Brixton returns with SU1, Phantoms of Unov. Referees running crime-themed science fiction campaigns are provided with a gang of interstellar drug manufacturers, a new starship, and a savage planet harboring sinister secrets. There's also a new lineup of challenging missions and shady NPCs in this RPG setting geared for players craving mayhem and moral dilemma. Phantoms of Unov is the third in a series of supplements exploring the Brixton solar system. Cepheus engine mechanics make it simple for referees to digest and adapt to nearly any science fiction setting. So it's compatible with Traveler. It's even compatible with Mothership, with little preparation. Each issue is packed with adventures, NPCs, and detailed background and art, all packaged in a high-quality, compact format. So this Kickstarter is just on the cusp of funding. It may have already funded today. So last time I looked at it was probably about 5 hours ago. So it may have already funded. You can reserve a copy of this new issue for a $16 pledge. You can score it just in PDF if you like for a $3 pledge through August 29th. Expected delivery, both digital and physical, is this December. So, yes. And if you're kind of curious about the first two issues, I have reviewed them, and I liked them. I thought it was pretty interesting. Thought it was kind of cool if you wanted to play sort of, dirty dealing scoundrels in space. But maybe not as dirty dealing as some other scoundrels you encounter as NPCs. So Keithulu says, Claudia Christian? Yes, that's who did the Musketeers versus Cthulhu. So I think she also writes a science fiction comic book for some independent publisher out there. DB is joining us in chat. Says they just bought the Doctor Who bundle and their wallet hates me. And the Gaming Gang. Well, it said the Gaming Gang. So I'll just say, that wallet hates all of us associated with the Gaming Gang. Hey, saved you some money, though. And you got a pretty cool deal on all of those excellent Doctor Who role-playing releases. All right, moving on to our final news piece, now available in print and PDF from By Odin's Beard, is Runecairn Warden Saga Remastered. And here's what I know. Strap on your bearded axe and lindenwood shield, delve into the Forsaken Barrow and cleanse the Durgar within. They will overwhelm you at first, so prepare to die. But when you wake up at the bonfire, you'll know what to expect for your next attempt. Parry their attacks, disarm them, and hack them to pieces. Defeat the undead within and claim the soul remnant they protect. Death is not the end. What is Runecairn? Runecairn is a Norse fantasy tabletop role-playing game written and designed by Colin LeSueur and inspired by games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Based on lightweight New School Revolution NSR systems Into the Odd and Cairn, Runecairn is designed for 2 players, one game master, the Warden, and 1 player, the Adventurer. Runecairn Warden Saga Remastered is an 84-page full-color. Why is the Modifius Entertainment popping up? I just replaced that. Man, this is the weirdest thing. I specifically went in and replaced that. I tell you. Hey, it's a live show. It's what happens. Anyway, this is an 84-page full-color rulebook filled with black and white and color illustrations depicting the Norse fantasy world of the Nine Realms. This book contains everything you need to run the game, from a quick one-shot, short dungeon delve, or epic campaign, including streamlined D20 roll-under rules based on Cairn and Into the Odd. Souls-like mechanics such as resurrecting at bonfires, respawning monsters, and dynamic combat. Quick start dungeon crawl adventure Beneath the Broken Sword, which is perfect for new GMs and players. 4 standard backgrounds: the Hardy Warrior, Nimble Scout, Cunning Seer, or Spirited Skald. 2 new advanced backgrounds: the Devastating Berserker and Fiery Pyre. And there are solo play rules with rune-based oracles. The 84-page Rune Cairn Warden Saga Remastered hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $40, or if you'd like, you can grab just the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $12.70. Kevin King says, looks like Musketeers vs. Cthulhu is currently on sale at Drive-Thru RPG for $6. Well, that's funny. They must have just changed that price from yesterday, which is cool. Very nice. Very nice. But we are talking about Rune Cairn Warden Saga Remastered, and that is newly in print. And I should point out, if you go to Drive-Thru RPG, if you're looking to pick this up in PDF, it is the remastered edition, which is the PDF, in case you were curious. Because there's kind of like a first edition of this, and then this remastered edition, which came out about a year later or so. It's all right. There we have it. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about good old Drive-Thru RPG. Yes. And, of course, don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG, Storytellers Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I will get a portion of that sale, and all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. I should point out, August is Alien Month at Drive-Thru RPG. Yes, Free League Publishing has announced that they are going to kickstart a second edition of Alien. Kind of surprised, because it hasn't been out that long. It's been out, what, maybe 3 years? I know time does fly. For all I know, it's like, 7 years ago, huh? No, I think it's been about 3 years, but they are going to have miniatures and all these other things as well as part of the Kickstarter, part of the Alien line of games. So I think that's why they're kind of doing that second edition. That is still a ways off for the Kickstarter. That's why I didn't share a news piece about it, because I like to share news pieces for Kickstarters that are already launched, and you can go, oh, well, you know what? That's very interesting. I'm going to go check that out, as opposed to, what the hell was that Kickstarter that Jeff talked about like 3 months ago that sounded cool? I don't know. I don't remember. They're not getting my money. But all of the Alien releases in PDF are 50% off. So if you are interested in the Alien role-playing game, which is actually really good, save some money on it. I don't think there's going to be huge changes with the second edition, to be honest. I think they are still going to do their cinematic as well as like campaign, where like the cinematic is like kind of like one-shot mechanics. And then the campaign's a little bit different. Melvinius from York also points out there is a Starfinder First Edition bundle, also a Pathfinder First Edition bundle on Humble Bundle. Yes, I did. The Starfighter bundle is actually it's being promoted as the playtest bundle, because there are some of the playtest rules items in there, including the rule book. And yes, I mentioned that on yesterday's show. Also mentioned that with the playtest rule book, you need the Pathfinder player core as well as the GM core. They're not part of that. So I thought that was a little odd. I did mention it on yesterday's show that is kind of a strange bundle because you need those two books to use the playtest rule book. You can't use the Starfinder book. It's got to be second edition, Pathfinder, player core, GM core, and the remastered edition preferably. So we'll see. Game Master's Hobby says they're waiting for those new Free League Twilight 2000 releases. Guess who's got them? They're not within reach to show them to you, but I do have them. You may have noticed if you watched my review with Tomas from Free League Publishing. Very nice. Very nice. Also should mention, if you like this video, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. And there were some folks who popped in and made some donations. I didn't notice who they were yet. So I will share that on tomorrow's show because we did have some folks popping on in, making some donations and that. And there are a lot of you, well, I shouldn't say a lot. There are some of you out there who stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make not small donations. Those are very much appreciated. The small donations are appreciated too. Don't get me wrong. And using those banner ads for the One Bookshelf sites is also appreciated. So, appreciate you. I appreciate people just popping on in here to watch this. I mean, that's the reality of it. Flaming Heron's hanging out with us, the third of our 3 chat moderators, saying, oh, sorry they missed yesterday's show. It's okay. It's all right. Don't worry. Don't worry. Melina says, Jeff always ahead and informed, one of the reasons why more people should watch. Yeah. What can I tell you? Anthony Simeone, maybe it's Simeone, is joining us in chat. Welcome aboard. So we are going to jump on into tonight's topic in just a couple of moments. We are going to talk about the 2 new-ish controversies that are starting to brew around Dungeons & Dragons and Wizards of the Coast. I would like people's opinions on this too. So if you're watching live, by all means, please share your thoughts in chat as we discuss this. If you're watching this after the fact, then by all means, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And of course, we do have Stephen from Roll for Combat, who has a unique perspective he can share with us as well. In fact, he did a video that kind of touched on at least one of these that I know of. Fleming Heron says, it's WotC. Controversy is expected. Yeah, well, you know, hey. Dangar the Mighty says, they have to finish that final campaign mode book and the factions book for first edition Alien, the role-playing game. We shall see. Like I said, I don't think they plan on launching that Kickstarter until sometime in the fall. It wasn't even something that was really a big topic for Tomas to talk about. He mentioned it, but it wasn't something that he got into a lot about. Of course, we did have kind of a short interview because he was running late and I had to run to go interview Gareth Ryder Hanrahan. So unfortunately, it was probably the shortest Free League publishing interview I've ever done. So, but we tackled some stuff. Anyway, so we will get to the topic for tonight. But first, it's time for a brief intermission.
Music to the ears of the hungry. The sizzle of a mouth-watering hamburger. Fresh, lean beef, done to a golden brown, couched in a soft bun, and garnished to taste. Man, that's hunger heaven. And you'll feel like you're heaven sent when you get one at our refreshment stand.
Hi, I'm Chili Dilly, the personality pickle. Packed in a jar for the freshest flavor. Served cold in a sack for you to savor. So dainty to eat, no muss, no fuss. An ideal snack for all of us. Crisp, tender, and tasty with a bit of spice. Buy one now. Taste how nice. Snack bar clerks will knock themselves silly, speeding your order for a real Chili Dilly.
Hiya, hiya, hiya. They're shrimply delicious. Hiya, hiya, hiya. You'll go for that mouth-watering, taste-tempting, meaty shrimp mixture all wrapped up in a crispy noodle jacket. It's a treat you can't beat. So come on, join the folks that are getting fresh, crispy, Flavor shrimp rolls now at the snack bar. They're shrimply delicious.
Wilkins decaffeinated coffee lets you sleep.
Not me. I don't drink it.
It lets everybody sleep.
What's this? The cat monster setting a trap for Mighty Mouse. And the bait? Post Sugar Crisp. How can Mighty Mouse get it?
I love Post Sugar Crisp. So do my friends.
For breakfast, it's dandy. For snacks, it's so handy.
They're wholesome wheat puffs covered with sugar and honey. That's why it's fun to eat Sugar Crisp, morning, noon, or night. Now everybody, better for breakfast, better for snacks. Just a little bit better. Those are the facts about Post Sugar Crisp.
Most any cereal is fine with me, as long as you spell it P-O-S-T. 'Cause all Post cereals happen to be
Just a little better.
a little bit better. A little bit better than any other cereal happens to be.
For breakfast, it's dandy. For snacks, it's so handy.
I have to be honest, that was a rehashed intermission video. I had a brand new intermission video I'd put together. It actually had a double feature of some really shitty B movies. In fact, calling them B movies was probably a kindness, right? And there were some parts to it where I was like, oh yeah, I can easily see joking about this when the little intermission's over. And I'll be damned, because I always upload them to YouTube to make sure I don't set up any copyright or anything like that. And at first it was fine. I was like, okay, cool. And then 10 minutes before the stream started, I double checked on YouTube and it was like, oh, yeah, you're going to be, giving your monetization from your video to the copyright holder. I was like, well, so much for that. I guess I'll go find one of my older intermissions. So before we jump on into the topic, I want to say the winner, right? Before I forget. Otherwise, I'll be, going on about tonight's topic and so on and so forth. Be like, oh, crap, I forgot to announce the winner. So the winner of the One Ring Moria through the Doors of Durin, which I reviewed, gave a 9 out of 10, really liked this quite a lot, is Kelly Newman. Kelly Newman is the winner. I made it super easy to get into the running to win this. All you got to do is be a subscriber to the channel. hopefully you liked the review video. And then you just had to tell me who your favorite dwarf in the world of Tolkien is and why. Pretty simple. So, Kelly, all you need to do is you need to email Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com from the email address which is associated with your YouTube account. And I will ship this out ASAP for your enjoyment. So we had a few more people pop into chat. We have Mr. Elliptific. That might be what it is. Saying hello from Tokyo. Very nice. Very cool. Mark Morrison is with us in chat too. Let's see, anybody else? So Kevin R. Smith said they're very interested in the Cthulhu by Gaslight because you're not going to need to bring your Call of Cthulhu rule book with. Not so fast. Because I've started reading it, and it even says it is the basic rules for Call of Cthulhu, and that's no joke. It is basic. So there are it appears about 15 pages of Call of Cthulhu rules in it. So could you run it in a pinch? Yeah, I think so, as long as you've got that Game Master's Guide as well that's on the horizon. We shall see. I'm not too far into it, so can't really tell you, but I did notice that. Other thing I want to mention real quick, I didn't go like bananas looking for review copies of stuff at Gen Con because that's just not how I operate. In fact, it seems like every year at Gen Con, I look to get less and less. I mean, it's the reality of it. Part of it is because a lot of times the publishers don't have a ton of stock. So I would prefer, as long as they're cool with shipping out a review copy later on down the line, that's okay with me. Sell it, make your money, whatever. But this is what I came home with. Hostile Waters for Twilight 2000, as well as the Black Madonna. I got to say, Hostile Waters is pretty hefty. And this is lighter. Both have the same MSRP, $39.99, but kind of surprised. I mean, this isn't like super light. The Glorantha source book for RuneQuest, because I don't have it. Of course, you already saw I had the first look video for Call of Cthulhu, Cthulhu by Gaslight. So we've got that. I've got the mini Dungeon Tome Volume 1 and 2 from AAW Games. So stay tuned for that. I know these are actually really well received. And then A Life Well Lived from Cubicle 7 Games. And that is pretty much what I snagged. That was it. Of course, I could have gone over to Modifius. We talked about this last night and been like, oh, hey, I really want to get to Star Trek. I don't do that. To be honest, I feel like an asshole. And for one, there are far too many content creators who do that. Because I've stood talking to various publishers when they've come up. And they're like, oh, hey, I'm so-and-so with whatever. And I'd like to get review copies of this and this. It's like, it's like, wow, that's how you say hello to a publisher that you've never worked with before? Like, okay. Anthony says, Gen Con seems nuts. So many people. It is nothing compared to Comic-Con. Nothing. It's sort of like, wow. Kevin King says there's 65 people watching live. Sweet. Very nice. That's that could be a record. I don't know. All right. So anyway, so let's talk about tonight's topic. These are two things I'm not going to go into like a huge amount of depth with, but I did want to address them because there are some people who are chattering about this. And like I said, I know Stephen from Roll for Combat did a video about at least one of them. Now, I will tell you, tomorrow's topic might be a little tricky and might piss some people off. But it's something I feel needs to be discussed, especially on the heels of Gen Con. Firefly Oak is joining us in chat. I believe this is the first time visit. Larry White is with us. GM Toolbox is popping on in, saying hello. Very cool. Game Masters Hobby says they're very curious to see what's inside a life well lived. Okay, so first thing that's kind of a bit of a controversy and fandom seems to be upset about is that there was a rumor that was floating around, or rumors that had floated around saying that Wizards of the Coast had paid content creators. It's some people are saying that they were paid to cover the player's handbook. I am certainly not one of them. If I receive any sort of monetary reward for shooting a video, I let you know right up front all the time. And the reality is the only time I really charge anybody for a video is if it's a Kickstarter preview, because they're looking to make thousands of dollars, at least thousands of dollars. So, I mean, come on. It's like if somebody said, hey, Frank, do me a favor, help me make $100,000. Wouldn't you say, well, okay, but I have to invest time and energy myself, or you gonna throw me a bone? It's kind of how I look at it. So Kevin R. Smith says they've seen people who took money but were critical of at least some aspects of the player's handbook. Okay, so like I said, I have heard it said that people were paid to cover it, and then I've heard people were paid to review it. And the reality is, as long as they're disclosing that they've been paid for their video, for their coverage, whatever, I don't think it really matters if they're reviewing it or if they're just doing a first look or they're talking about, oh, these are the changes in the player's handbook and things like that. I'm not here to talk about taking money out of like people's pockets, taking food out of content creators' mouths and their families' mouths and things like that. So GM Toolbox says it was nice meeting me at the Adventure a Week Games booth, or AAW Games. Yes, thank you very much. Once again, a big thank you to quite a few folks came up and said hello to me, and I took selfies, and it was, like I said, I find it really weird. Nobody asked me for an autograph this year, which I'm fine with. Somebody asked me to autograph a book that they had like all these like gaming luminaries in. And I was like, you want me to ruin this by putting my name in it? They're like, oh, no, I want your name in it. I was like, okay. All right. Larry White says, love your videos, Jeff. Shoot from the hip without his reviews. Thank you for that. You're very welcome. We'll kind of touch on that in a second as well. Jack Hanks is with us in chat. So GM Toolbox says they bought their player's handbook. No press copy, no payment, just going to give their honest opinion. Very nice. Very cool. So, like I said, I don't have an issue as long as that content creator discloses that information. Then it shouldn't be a problem. So it becomes a problem, and there are folks out there who do this. Because I'm pretty tight with some publishers out there, and, you know, there are outlets, and I'm not going to name names. So right away, don't even bother trying to ask, right? Because I'm not necessarily trying to stir a shitstorm here. But there are outlets out there who tell their audience that, no, we don't take any money, you know, for our video coverage and things like that. And then I've had publishers tell me exactly what these outlets charge depending on what sort of coverage you want. So it's kind of like, okay. I just don't believe in being that sort of disingenuous with people. I believe in just being transparent. It's not like this is certainly not a big outlet. It is essentially me with some help from my friends kind of thing, right? There is a gang. It really is. It's not my multiple personalities and I who, consist of the gang. We've actually had quite a few contributors over the years. I was really surprised at how many we have had. But as far as receiving payment for the work you invest, I don't have an issue with it. And as long as you're upfront about that. And then, as a consumer, you need to take that into account. So when you see someone who maybe they do a lot of reviews, I'll give you great example, right? Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Cubicle 7 Games, because that's how they want to be known now. And let's say Free League Publishing, right? I cover both of them a lot. Very little by Free League Publishing comes out that I do not share coverage of. And they tend to get very positive reviews. Now, I do not accept payment. Once again, as I said, only thing I ever accept payment for is Kickstarter videos. And at most, maybe I do one of those a month. I think there was one month I actually did two, shockingly enough. Because for one, I try not to do too many of them. So when I share a Kickstarter video, it is kind of like, oh, hey, Jeff's taking a look at this. Might be pretty good. So if I were telling you, oh, yeah, I have been compensated by Free League Publishing to provide you with this review, then you would take my review with a grain of salt. Because I've been paid to provide you with that review. I mean, I would hope, and yes, I get it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of stupid people in this world. And weirdly enough, it seems like people are getting stupider. And it's willful. It's simply a lot of people out there, well, that has no effect on me, so I don't need to know anything about it. And it's like, oh, okay, that really does have an effect on you, but I would hope the vast majority of people out there, when they see that little thing that pops up on YouTube saying, paid promotion, that they also realize, well, okay, so if it's a paid promotion, then it's more than likely going to be positive. So keep that in mind. Now, Kevin R. Smith says that they saw some people who had been paid to review the player's handbook had some critical points about it, but all in all, they're positive in the end. So what I'm kind of curious about is because I had heard, once again, I don't know a lot of these folks, the vast majority of these content creators who mainly tackle Dungeons and Dragons, I might know if I see them. I don't know their names. I don't really watch their videos and stuff like that. And it's nothing against them. It's just I really don't watch other content creators out there. I just don't really have time for it. But I had heard that none of those people got paid by Wizards of the Coast. That I had heard that if you shot video that was on the Dungeons and Dragons Wizards of the Coast YouTube channel or the D&D Beyond YouTube channel, then yes, you are paid. But everyone else simply got review copies. And something I will point out, this is my opinion. I don't know how most of you out there feel about this, but receiving a review copy I do not consider it to be compensation. And here's the reason. Now, one of the things I try to pride myself on as far as being a reviewer or a critic is that I grew up in a time where like film criticism was at probably the highest level ever. So you had your Gene Siskel. I was never a real big fan of Gene Siskel. He was okay. He was far, far too into Woody Allen movies, Woody Allen movies, most of them are fine. Some of them I do like, but it was like, if Woody Allen's name on it was like, oh, this is the greatest film ever. And then Star Wars would be like, it's all right. You know? But he had Roger Ebert, who was kind of in tune with my tastes. Rex Reed, who I never liked. Pauline Kael. But I mean, you know, you had all of these well-known critics, film reviewers, in all the major newspapers. And some of them were syndicated. Some of them were just local. And that's how I try to kind of base my review style, is to be, you know, fairly professional as far as the review. Kevin R. Smith says, Rex Reed's attitude was terrible. Yeah, because like with Rex Reed, everything was shit. Unless Rex liked it. And it was usually stuff where it was like, come on, really? Really, Rex? Come on, man. Gene Shalit. Yes. On Good Morning America with that crazy mustache and his like whacked out fro. But that's how I try to present my reviews. And film reviewers didn't pay to go to the theater. They went to press events. They saw those films sometimes months before they came out. And that's why you would see the film, and you still see it today. Film reviews would come out on the Fridays when the film came out. So that wasn't something that, you know, the film reviewers had to go pay to go see. And they would go on junkets from studios, and the studios would put them up in nice hotels and wine and dine them and things like that. But those critics still shot from the hip, and they told it like it is. So just receiving a review copy, I do not consider to be compensation. I know a lot of people don't either, but some folks out there think, well, if you received a copy of something for free, then you are going to tend to be a lot kinder to it than if you went out and spent your own money. And whenever I look at something, I always look at it from the point of view, if I had purchased this, or if you are to purchase this, are you getting value and things of that sort? So that's kind of how I look at it. So as far as anybody getting paid, and like I said, there's a lot of confusion about who got paid, who didn't get paid, who's going to get paid, who deserves to get paid. As far as the Player's Handbook for Dungeons & Dragons 2024, which is what Wizards of the Coast wants people to call it, I'm calling it D&D 5.5. I'm sure Wizards of the Coast is pissed that I'm doing that. I'm sure I probably fly so far under Wizards of the Coast radar, they don't even care. But that's really what it is, because granted, okay, it's probably pretty backwards compatible to 5, but there's a lot of changes in it. So, I mean, not huge, massive. Oh my God, now we roll a 24-sided die. It's like, oh, the 20-sided die is gone. It's not like that, but Smoking Pots is with us. Says, oh, I missed the controversies. I don't want to go back to watch. Seriously, just tell me, please. So, yeah, so that's it. So that's the first controversy. People are not, they're not like burning people in effigy or anything like that. But there are some people, kind of riled up. saying that, they're not getting legitimate reviews of the player's handbook because so many people are paid. So many people are paid or not indicating that they're being paid. And like I said, I have, from my understanding, I had heard that if you were doing content for Wizards of the Coast that was going to be on their YouTube channel, or if it was going to be on the D&D Beyond YouTube channel, then people were paid. Nobody else was. If that's the case, whatever. If it's not the case, whatever. I don't think it's a problem as long as you disclose that you've received compensation. Once again, a review copy, in my opinion, is not compensation. But if you receive compensation for your review, then, just say it right up front. Big deal. And the thing is, YouTube demands you do that. That's part of your terms of service as a content creator on YouTube. You have to indicate if something is sponsored content, and receiving compensation for a video is sponsored content. So that's the first of them. And then the second is a bunch of people came out with their videos. They were doing first look videos. They were doing review videos. They were sharing looks inside the player's handbook for Dungeons and Dragons. And they were getting copyright strikes. And YouTube was taking their videos down. And copyright strikes are no joke. That's one of the reasons why I mentioned, I'll upload stuff, just make sure that, it's not copywritten. So something that's copywritten, a lot of times you can use like music and stuff like that. It's just any sort of monetization from your video goes to the copyright holder. But sometimes if you're sharing copyrighted material, you get a copyright strike. So that is bad news, because 3 of those and YouTube will delete your channel. I think you get 1 of them and things become trickier with your monetization. So as long as YouTube trusts you and you haven't given them any reason with your content for them to think that you're being a little shady, you don't have to go through a lot of hoops as far as monetizing your videos and adding ads and things like that. But if you get on the wrong side of center with YouTube, they can make things very, very tricky. Hector Stafford's with us in chat. Good to see there. So Kevin R. Smith says, I knew Jeff would have something to say about the blurred pages requirement. I did not blur my pages in my review. I did not blur them. I did make sure that my hands do block out parts of each page, and I don't share that many pages. So I only share, all in all, maybe 24 pages. I really don't share a lot. And I don't have the biggest hands in the world, but I do keep my mitts on the pages as I'm talking so that you cannot get a clear view of the pages. So I have not received any requests for me to blur anything. I didn't figure I would. And I had actually opened my video by saying that there were people who were, having their videos taken down, getting, copyright strikes, getting requests to blur the images in the video. And I said, if I get anything like that, if I get an email saying, hey, we want you to blur the images, I was like, I'm just going to take the video down because it's really not that big a deal. This is not a Dungeons and Dragons channel anyway. So it'd be like, whatever. Right? Whatever. Cracks the Bolt says, what's a little copyright strike between friends? Larry White says, give you a hand on that. Sorry, couldn't help it. So I planned ahead. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to. And I know there are people out there who are like, pirates don't pirate stuff through videos. They do it from physical books. And that is very true about how they do it with physical books. It is not true that they do not attempt to put things together from videos. And I know that for a fact because it happened with a video I did for, I want to say it was Rime of the Frost Maiden. I showed a majority, it was a first look. The book had just arrived and I was doing a page through. And I mean, it was like, there were times where I was just like this. But yeah, I guess you could stop the video and take a screenshot because I saw it. And I saw that, you know, it was floating around. Oh, hey, check out this video. Dude shows the whole book and things like that. So once again, I'm not going to name like content creators by name, but there was one who shared the entire book. They shared the entire book. And then they got a copyright strike and YouTube took it down. There were other creators who shared between probably 95 and 100% of the book. Same thing happened to them as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, that should have happened. And I know I already have seen, because people were commenting on my review saying, Jeff, I hope they don't, give you a copyright strike. I hope they don't make you take this down. Got my fingers crossed. Somebody had commented, knock, knock, it's the Pinkertons. I thought that was kind of funny. Once again, I didn't think anything was going to come about of it. But anyway, the people who did that, they knew damn well that word would get out that they were sharing the entire book or practically the entire book, which of course would really juice their views. And of course, that's where the money is. Just like somebody had, commented on my review. They're like, oh, you're just doing this for the views. It's like, what other fucking reason would I be sharing this video? It's like, come on. I was given a review copy by Wizards of the Coast. I don't hate Wizards of the Coast. I critique them. I criticize them for things that they do. But it's not as if I'm like, damn you, Wizards of the Coast, you've ruined me. I don't hate Dungeons and Dragons. I don't hate 5e. So somebody hands me a review copy of something, I am going to review it, especially when I know it is something that people are interested in, and they probably are curious what my take is on it. So yeah, of course. But sharing that amount of the book, I have absolutely no issue whatsoever with. I know, like I mentioned when we first started the show tonight, I said, yeah. I said, you might be kind of surprised by my takes on this. Because in some ways, I can see where Wizards of the Coast was coming from. Now, where the big issue comes out is the disconnect that was between the marketing and PR people and the legal department. So I was not asked to sign any sort of non-disclosure agreement. So I didn't have to worry about anybody being like, hey, you said you wouldn't share. Now, we were told not to record the Dungeons & Dragons event at Gen Con. We were also told not to take too many photographs of the things that they were sharing with us on screen. So there was that. That's one of the reasons why I really didn't do like an article about the D&D event because we were told, please don't record this. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Saves me hassle, right? Omanal is with us, says, a review copy should be reviewed. Why else give it? Exactly. Plus, we also got a nice swag bag. Stephen from Roll for Combat will attest to that. Steven says they're going to do a follow-up video on this shortly. It's going to be interesting and covering stuff that people haven't spoken about yet. Nice. Very cool. So the people who got like requests to blur out their images and things like that, to me, honestly, if you're only sharing so many looks inside the book, I think that's ridiculous. I really do. Now, I have had some people had commented on the review video saying that, that not the Pinkertons is with us tonight. Oh, it's not the FBI. Hey, hello, everyone. Mr. Elliptific says, hate is too much energy, better invested in other great games. Everybody should play what they like. I agree. Steven says, yeah, that t-shirt they gave us was sweet. Yeah, it is a pretty cool shirt. Little on the thin side material-wise, but that's okay. Yes, that was pretty cool. Even the little tote bag was nice because it actually says it's the 50th anniversary on it. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, they gave us some nice stuff. So and they were like, Elliot was laughing because he's like, dude, they're like falling over themselves with you. And I'm like, yeah, because they know I've got a little bite in me. So anyway, but yeah, I personally think that whole blurring stuff out, that's ridiculous. As I started to say, I saw some comments. People were saying, well, you know what? If I went to Gen Con and I bought the book, because there were, I believe, and I'm sure Stephen knows this, I think there were 3,000 copies of this on sale at Gen Con. And a few commenters said, if the words to the effect, if I went to Gen Con and I bought this book, I came home and I shared a video on YouTube where I shared a look at everything. That's within my rights because I bought the book. And hate to break it to you, but that tain't right, Dooley. You're still violating copyright. Doesn't matter if you're a reviewer that was given a review copy or if you went and bought it. That's why you can't go and, I went and bought the digital copy of Godzilla -1, and I'm now streaming it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube because I bought it. It's like, no. It's like, that's copyright violation. Doesn't matter who or what you are. If you do not have express permission, then no, you can't. So I thought that was sort of funny. Well, I bought it. I can do whatever I want with it. Now, granted, if you're just somebody who's got a YouTube channel and it's not monetized and things like that, I don't know how active YouTube's going to come after you to shut down that video. Probably more so than you might think. But no, you can't just. But for the folks out there, I mean, the reality is it is fair use. It is a review copy that was provided to you. So there is fair use where you can share certain things or a certain amount of something. Just like, you can share so many seconds of a song without having to worry about paying any royalties or copyright or anything like that. It's a few seconds. I think it's 3, if I remember right. But Kevin King's got to bail. He'll catch us later. Thank you very much, Kevin. Always appreciate you stopping on by. Anyway, so as far as the people who got copyright flags who were sharing 95 to 100% of the book online and taking their time about it, yeah, I think they deserved that. I really do. And once again, I don't know any of these people personally. I'm not naming anybody by name. I'm just saying that, they knew they were being shady is the reality of it. because they knew what they were doing and they knew it would get them more views and longer time watching the video and so on and so forth. So it's the people who had to go jump through hoops to blur out their images. And there are some folks out there who just the way they shoot their videos would be very, very difficult for them to go and take that finished video and blur the images. Just in some ways, it's maybe practically impossible to do without having to just completely re-edit the whole video in that. That I think is overkill. I really do. And I have heard that there were some people who did get copyright strikes. Those strikes have been removed. Their videos are back up. Not the ones that showed like 100%, but some of the folks who, early on released videos and got hit by the legal department, they're okay. So that's cool. Good to hear that as well. So, that controversy on one hand, I think Wizards of the Coast just went way overboard because their marketing department hadn't been on the same page with their legal department saying, hey, we're going to have a lot of people sharing looks inside this book. But then there were other content creators who really, it wasn't pushing the envelope. They tore the envelope and ripped it into little bitty pieces and shared the entire book. Yeah, I think they deserve those copyright strikes. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on those two things. So in the end, really doesn't have any vast effect on, or I guess I could say mass effect on the gaming gang because we are not a Dungeons and Dragons channel. And like I said, I can't even tell you, I said this in the review. I don't know if we'll get an opportunity to look at the other books in the 2024 lineup. So they gave me a review copy. I shared a review. End of story. Moving along. So tomorrow night, the topic I'm going to talk about might make some people mad. I got to be very honest. It's going to be a little bit of a tricky conversation, but I'm going to talk about the illusion of inclusion and diversity in tabletop gaming, because the reality is it is an illusion. No matter what a lot of these publishers are trying to indicate, what they put forward as a public facing, our hobby is in no way, shape, or form inclusive or very diverse. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because we're going to discuss how can we make it more so. Remember, I'm a guy who, maybe not me personally, but people like me, older, white, straight men, have been accused that we were the guys who gate-kept people out of the hobby and, we wouldn't let anybody play our silly games back in the 80s and 90s, which I don't doubt happened, not to the extent that people claim, and certainly not with anybody I knew or played games with. But it might just turn out to be that it's people like me who are going to be the ones who actually might do the most to make this a more welcoming, inclusive, and diverse hobby, as opposed to the people you would think who are the usual suspects. So like I said, we are going to talk about this. As GM Toolbox points out, it's going to be a good topic. And yes, a slippery slope and difficult to talk about. So yes, that is one of the things that I am going to point out. You'll probably get sick of me talking about this tomorrow. That people will need to listen to the words that actually come out of my mouth, not the words you think come out of my mouth. Because there are times I'm accused of, oh, well, Jeff McAleer over on the Gaming Gang said this. And it's like, no, I did not. It's like one of my biggest pet peeves is people putting words in my mouth. It's like, no, I did not say that. So GM Toolbox says, I feel back when I was a kid, no one wanted to play D&D with us. We're going to talk about that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about who I think need to be brought into the conversation as far as how we can make our hobby more inclusive, how we can make our hobby more, and I know there are people out there who are going to be like, Jeff's talking woke stuff again. No, I'm not. And stop using that fucking word, because most people use woke, don't really have the right to use it in the first place. And when they do use it, it's their boogeyman word, not what the word actually represents. But we're going to talk a little bit about who we should really bring into the conversation about inclusion and diversity, who I honestly don't think gaming companies really talk to. Gaming companies are more into this, oh, well, we're going to hire this diversity manager over here. And anyway, so we'll see. We'll see if I get canceled. I don't think I will, because I'm not going to say anything like radical or racist or anything like that. But we're going to tackle something that I think some publishers don't want to discuss, because, some of these publishers just think, well, we put all these people of color on the cover of our book. Yeah, I mean, we're done. It's all we needed to do, right? It's like, no, it wasn't. That is like the least amount you could do. All right. So last few items in chat, and then we're going to wrap up. Peaceful Porcupine is with us. I might not have said hello to them. And so is Octavius. Welcome. Says, yeah, their group was pretty diverse in Detroit, Michigan. GM Toolbox says their main group today is very diverse. It's the best group they've ever played with. Larry White says, in the 90s, I had a game store and had young men and women learning in their storefront. Very nice. See, now, one thing we don't seem to have really an issue with in the hobby right now is women and people with alternate lifestyles. I guess I'll say it that way. We're doing pretty good with that. We're doing pretty good with that as long as they're white. Then we're doing all right. No. Anyway. So Peaceful Porcupine says their playgroup was queer, had 2 women, and was racially diverse. We were already weird. That's what brought us all together. I mean, that was it, that we all were, off the beaten path. Dengar the Mighty says, I agree a lot. Use of the word woke completely wrong, and I don't know what it actually means. Right. And a lot of people who use that like as their boogeyman, their straw man, just throw it out there. Oh, you go woke, you go broke. They don't even know what the fuck they're talking about, nor do they actually want to invest any time learning what that is. But, I don't know. All right. So you've been warned what tomorrow's topic is. So I understand if you're like, I'm going to take a pass tomorrow night. Not a topic that interests me or anything like that. Yeah, because we're going a little inside baseball with this. So, GM Toolbox says, I know a publisher that pulled a big book they spent a lot of money on creating because they realized the writers were not representative of the culture the book was about. And if we're thinking of the same book, the book also did not represent the culture very well that the book was about. If I remember, I think it was like Pacific Islanders or something along those lines. Asiatic peoples, if I remember right. But then again, could certainly be, another product, because it wouldn't be the first. All right. So that is it for tonight's show. If you are watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, bigger thank you to you, because for one, you keep me company, and two, you keep each other company. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. It is much appreciated. Also, a big thank you to this month's sponsor, Roll-A-Crit. Yes, the home of the newly redesigned Bag of Holding in all its glory right there. Like I said, we're going to take a deeper dive into that next week. But a big thanks to Roll-A-Crit for sponsoring this video. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my review of the Dungeons & Dragons 2024 5.5 Player's Handbook from Wizards of the Coast. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.